Hey, I'm Randy and I'm the Cheap Audio Man. Here at the Cheap Audio Man, I've always prided myself on highlighting and reviewing affordable hi-fi gear. By my own definition, affordable is less than $600 per component. None of these products are below $600. These DACs are $700, $763, depending upon the exchange rate, and $900 respectively. But it's a DAC attack. And this is what I'm going to call the premium DAC attack. So sit down, grab a cup of coffee, and let's talk about the first ever Cheap Audio Man DAC attack. For this comparison, I listened to all these DACs through headphones. So I ran all the DACs out balanced into a balanced headphone amp, which is the SMSL SU8S. Oh, there it is, finally, SU8S. It's a very neutral headphone amp, so it doesn't really color the music to my ear. I used the Dan Clark Aeon closed RT. Ran those balanced too, actually with a Hart balanced cable. These Hart cables are actually really cool. So they all have, like, you can mix and match them, put different ends and stuff on them. I don't know, that's being silly. Then I ran all of the balanced outputs from the DAC into the Duke XLR switcher thingy. It's passive, okay? Anyway, that's what I did. So I had the same headphone amp, the same headphones, running through the switcher, and then I would just, and all of them were using USB input from my computer. So what I would do, and I was using Amazon Music. Oh no, yes, Amazon Music. And what I would do is I would switch the DAC on the little speaker menu. I'd switch the DAC to the one I wanted to hear, and then I would flip the switch on here. All of these DACs are balanced, okay? So I use all of their balanced connections, all right? I know this isn't going to show up. It's not going to be in focus, but I'll do and have done a more in-depth review on each one of these. I've already done the Aries 2. But I'll have a Bifrost 2 review by itself and also the topping D90se review by itself. So right out of the box, I noticed that the Denafrips Aries 2 had a lower output. And when I say lower, I mean the volume was lower when I switched to the Denafrips from the Schiit or from the topping. Because of this, it wasn't as easy to do really quick A/B comparisons between the Denafrips and either the Bifrost or the topping D90. So what I would have to do in those situations is kind of figure out on the volume dial where both of them are kind of similar outputs, and then I'd have to switch the dial too. Obviously not the most foolproof method for A/Bing DACs, but the good thing is the Denafrips is the most individual sounding DAC out of the three. So it sounds the most different from the Bifrost or the topping. So the topping utilizes an ES9038 Pro DAC chip. So it's a Delta Sigma type of DAC, which is done on a chip. All right, and it's got a bunch of other stuff like processors and all that good stuff. But for this comparison, I just listened to these out of the box. I turned them on. I didn't go into any settings, no oversampling, no nothing. I turned them on and I listened to them, okay? That may not satisfy everybody out there. However, with all of the different modes, especially on the topping, making a to B to C comparison can get quite complicated very quickly when one is trying to listen to every single different option in there. The good thing about the Bifrost and the Denafrips is fundamentally what you get when you turn it on is what you get. There's not a lot of options. There is an oversampling mode in the Denafrips and also a slow, fast roll-off option in the Denafrips. So the first two I compared were the Denafrips and the Bifrost. I was listening to The Chain by Fleetwood Mac at the 27-second mark. It's where they go with the cowbell. and then listen to the wind blow right after that, okay? So it was the, all right. One thing I noticed with the Denafrips compared to the Bifrost is the cowbell click had more clarity, more reverberation, more sense of space and air on the Denafrips than on the Bifrost. At the 54-second mark in that song, tambourine comes in. All right. Again, the Denafrips had more detail, more separation with the tambourine than the Bifrost. At the 1 minute, 31-second mark, there's a on the hi-hat where the hi-hat's kind of open a little bit, and then he clamps it down with his foot. And again, recurring theme here, the Denafrips had more detail and separation. Alice in Chains, Rooster off the MTV Unplugged. At the 14-second mark, the bass comes in, all right? Now, here's where the Bifrost comes back, all right? So we're getting 1, 2. The Denafrips got a few jabs in. Bifrost is coming back with body blows. That's stupid. Anyway, the Bifrost had a heftier, more full sounding, more presence, a larger sounding bass when the bass came in. At the 2 minute and 13-second, there's a very subtle ride cymbal hit in the background. The Denafrips did a better job of actually separating it out and making it so you could hear it. And at the 2 minute 38-second mark, there is a acoustic guitar solo. And again, the Denafrips had more detail, more clarity, while the Bifrost had a little bit more body and heft, weight to it. Everything I just said about the Denafrips versus the Bifrost applies to the topping D90se as well. The topping and the Bifrost are very similar sounding, almost to the point where I was having a very difficult time even picking out differences, and I had to really concentrate to hear any differences. So, with that said, I'm just going to talk about a comparison between the Bifrost and the topping D90se. So, one of my favorite songs to listen to detail, clarity, and air and separation is actually Harvester of Sorrow by Metallica. At the 26-second mark, there starts to be a kind of a growl background noise, kind of a creepy noise in the background. Anyway, there's a lot of cool cymbal hits and stuff. The difference between the Bifrost and the topping was that the topping did a bit of a better job separating out that background growl, and it seemed a bit more pronounced on the topping. However, just about everything else is very similar, and I will give the Bifrost props for top end clarity above the topping, no pun intended. With the cymbal hits on Harvester of Sorrow, I noticed that the decay was longer on the Bifrost and the clarity was ever so slightly more apparent on the Bifrost. But for whatever reason, the background music or the background growl on Harvester of Sorrow was more apparent on the topping. So for detail retrieval and upper end clarity, it's going to go the Denafrips, the Bifrost by a hair, and then the topping. The fullest, or what I would call the thickest, most buttery DAC on here is the Bifrost, followed by the topping, and then by the Denafrips. For instrument separation, especially in the treble area, it's going to be the Denafrips, the Bifrost, ever so slightly, and sometimes it's a toss-up between the topping and the Bifrost, and then the topping. The biggest surprise I had with these is that I thought the topping was going to be more digital sounding and have a lot more detail up top than the Bifrost. Because when I first listened to the Bifrost versus the Denafrips, I heard a pretty distinct difference, and most of that difference had to do with the top end. I was just really surprised how full the topping was. I didn't expect it. Actually, I already had it in my brain. It was going to be the topping, and then the Denafrips, and then the Bifrost was how I thought it was going to go. And it didn't go that way at all. Now, the two that are the most similar here are the Bifrost and the topping D90se. The Denafrips is easier to differentiate, and I think even a layman would be able to hear a pretty distinct difference between the Denafrips and the Bifrost and the topping. However, even to a trained ear, it's very difficult to hear a big difference between the Bifrost and the topping. I really enjoyed all of these. However, if it's my money and I'm putting it up, it's going to go to the Denafrips or the Bifrost. I think the Bifrost is a very good sounding DAC. Now, since I only did headphones, and I have listened to all of these through speakers, and I've already sensed and I can tell there's differences with speakers, and it's with speakers, and I know this is kind of an obvious statement, but when I listen to speakers, things seem more airy. But that's why I wanted to listen to closed back headphones, so I could really concentrate just on the music here and less on the experience or the more intangible holographic stuff that's going on with these DACs. So I'm going to do another video, and that's going to be comparing these DACs on speakers. I liked all these DACs, but for me personally, I would probably choose either the Denafrips or the Bifrost. And really mostly due to price. At $900, it's a pretty big, well, for me, $700 is stretching. $760 or whatever the Denafrips is stretching even more. $900 for the topping is really pushing it for me personally. Now, the other two DACs don't do MQA. They don't have Bluetooth. They don't have volume control. So if you're looking for something like that, then the topping is going to be the DAC you want to choose. However, there's other options out there. Now, I will need to do a more in-depth, and I will do a full review on the topping D90se. But for me, for my purposes right now, it's going to be the Bifrost or the Denafrips. If your amp and speakers are a bit forward or detail-centric to the point where they can be fatiguing, the Bifrost is probably going to be the better choice. However, the Denafrips, for me, kind of made everything sound better from a speaker perspective. All of these DACs had me bobbing my head. It was very difficult to hear a huge difference between the Bifrost and the topping. All these DACs sound great. However, for my money, I'm going with either the Bifrost or the Denafrips. I just like what they have going on better. I don't know if it's the R2R, I don't know if it's the multi-bit, I don't know what it is. I just know I like those two a little bit more, especially when the topping is $900. Anyway, if you want to support the channel, you can through Patreon, patreon.com/cheapaudioman. Every Sunday night we have patron-only Zooms, and we also have a patron-only Facebook group. We're also doing a raffle. CSS Audio reached out to me and wanted to give away some Crichton 1TD speakers. We are raising money for Homes for Our Troops. It's a great veterans charity that helps out veterans that were wounded in the line of duty, fixes up their house and stuff like that. Anyway, we've already raised $3,600, okay? But you can enter yourself in the raffle by clicking on the link. All the details are on the homepage, so you can just click on the link and donate directly to them. You can also buy the products through the links. Although, if you buy the Denafrips, I don't get a commission. If you buy the Bifrost, I don't get a commission. If you buy the topping, I will get a commission. Any of the other links, though, I do get commissions off of. You can also sign up for Amazon Music. Click on the link, sign up, you get 3 or 4 months for free. So if you like what we're doing over here, subscribe, like the video. Don't binge watch anything on Netflix or Hulu. Binge listen through one of these awesome DACs. Fill your soul with happiness. And with that, I'm Randy. I'm the Cheap Audio Man.